2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. It's going to be a tale of two topics. We're obviously coming to the conclusion of Super Bowl weekend. Go Chiefs. Had a little bit of money on Kansas City, so I am indeed a happy man. However, you see the video is titled Trump Snubs NATO and Taylor Swift in a span of 24 hours. So we want to ask a few things and get your opinion on this as usual. First of all, President Trump stated that at a South Carolina rally, he brought this up, stated that for folks who are meeting their financial obligations, which means actually funding their war machine, that if they fell behind on their financial obligations, he would actually encourage Russia to, quote unquote, do whatever the hell they want with those countries. So this has literally caused a lot of our allies to really step up, including the European Union Council, and suggest that maybe we need to start finding a way to defend ourselves, because it sounds like the United States, come crunch time, may not be reliable. So first off, I want to ask you folks, do you see what Trump stated as a justifiable, do you think what he said was justified? You think what he said made sense, was a good thing to say, or do you think that was wrong, suggesting that if you fall behind in your financial obligations, I'm going to tell Russia they're free to do whatever the hell they want? And like I said, it's really worked to the ire of a lot of our allies. Next, this one is a bit of a more lighthearted topic, but I do want to hear your opinion on it as well. Once again, President Trump stated that Taylor Swift, multi-platinum record-selling artist, is unloyal. Taylor Swift lacks loyalty because Trump stated during his time in office, he passed legislation that makes it easier for folks like Taylor Swift to make a hell of a lot of money anytime their music is streamed. So because Trump passed a bill that is turned into a hell of a lot of money for Taylor Swift, he not only says she is unloyal, he says she cannot, and this is a quote, Taylor Swift cannot endorse Biden. So do you see Taylor Swift as unloyal to President Trump? Should her loyalty be to President Trump? Not to mention, he also referred to her NFL boyfriend, Travis Kelce, as a liberal. So he's also said a few negative remarks in regards to her boyfriend. So do you feel she should be loyal to President Trump because he passed legislation that actually probably did benefit her financially, substantially? So those are the two topics we're going to be talking about. Trump snubbing NATO, making comments that if you don't meet your financial obligations, he's going to encourage Russia to do whatever the hell they want with some of our allies that may be behind financially. And then, of course, Taylor Swift. You know how the program is ran. It is and always will remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are always my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program, and we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So understand, when you get in the box, whether you're in the comment section, you don't have to agree with the host or anybody else on the damn program. It's all about free speech. So going straight to the comments, we'll go straight to Outdoors with Sawyer. Ask for a shout out on YouTube. We run a simulcast on YouTube. So Sawyer, Outdoor Sawyer, there you go. Why does Trump insult everyone except Putin? That is a legitimate question, because that was part of the writing. I normally do a little homework for the show, and that was going to be the original question: is why is Trump so pro-Russia and anti-NATO? Why is that? Because he has spoken positively or favorable of Russia on a number of occasions, starting with a Super Bowl interview way back when with Bill O'Reilly. Why is he seemingly so favorable to Russia? I'm going to go straight to the box. I don't want to bloviate too long. I want to hear your opinions. At the end of the day, it's not necessarily my show or your show. It is our show. So going to the box, we'll start it right out with Matt Meinhardt. Good afternoon, Matt. Welcome to the program. Taylor Swift, does she owe undying loyalty to President Trump? Matt, good afternoon.
How you doing, man? And you know what's ironic? I was just talking about you last night.
Really? Was it a nightmare? What did I do wrong?
No, you know Mother of Dragons?
I think so.
Conservative.
I think so.
She's a lawyer who does she's kind of neutral, but she hosts usually pro-conservatives in lives mostly.
Okay, I think so. What's up?
It was nothing but good things about you.
Wow. Okay. That's good.
We were all saying that you're one of our favorite people, even on the other side of the spectrum.
Wow.
You're actually respectful.
That's good shit. Thank you. Pass that on to anyone else who gave that accolade. Absolute thanks. So, in regards to the topic, though, Trump suggesting that Taylor Swift should be loyal to him because he passed a law that allowed her to make...
Taylor Swift thing, I really couldn't care less about Taylor Swift myself. I don't like her music. Never have, never will. But I really don't think any celebrity should be loyal to a politician, nor do I honestly like any celebrity. I think they're all conceited and arrogant once they start making all that money.
Well, would you say the same about Trump? He was a celebrity before becoming president.
Well, yeah, I would if I'm... All right. I feel like a lot of celebrities are in it for the money, whereas there's the things that said Trump actually donated his salary to... And he only took $1 because he had to legally take something, but...
Yeah, but the presidential salary is around $500,000 annually, so that's $2 million for 4 years. You know Trump, his businesses, his properties were making money because he had the title of president.
He's a businessman.
Yeah, but not only that, when you say he didn't take any money from the office, they had to stop him because he was using the office to invite dignitaries that he would invite to the United States to stay at his properties and use his golf courses. They had to tell him that's a conflict of interest. You can't be utilizing the funds these folks are bringing with them and charging them a premium to stay at your properties. He was actually doing that.
Yeah, I have no knowledge of that. I'll have to look into that myself too.
Okay.
Because that's something that's actually the first I'm hearing of that.
Really? Yeah, I would encourage you to look at it. It was a big story. Now, I will say this. And
send me a link.
Okay, well, yeah, certainly. I'll email me and I'll respond with the link. I will say this, too. I often say this on the liberal side of the aisle as well. A lot of times what you hear depends on the media outlets you watch. You're not going to hear a lot of pro-Trump, things that Trump do well on MSNBC or CNN. You're not going to hear things like what I just talked about on Fox News, OAN, or Newsmax. So if you lean right and most of your news outlets are right, you're not going to hear that.
That's true, yeah.
Okay. So what about NATO? What about Trump suggesting that anyone who is not meeting their financial obligation in NATO, he would encourage, quote unquote, encourage Russia to do whatever the hell they want with that country? You favor that type of statement?
So I will say that the way he phrased it is very, 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 very much wrong.
Okay.
Now, the sentiment of America continue to defend countries that have not paid their fair share into NATO, I agree with that. We should be telling them, hey, listen, if you don't pay up, we're not going to help you. I mean, there have been countries that have been delinquent for over 10, 15 years.
Yeah, but was he trying to get folks to understand we need you to meet your financial obligation? Or when he made that statement that he would let Russia do whatever the hell, was he actually serious about it?
I don't know. I don't think he was serious about it, but I think he was trying to get the point across because at the end of the day, when you look at NATO, and as a military member who has served overseas, when you look at NATO, majority of NATO's defenses are going to be, all of their forces are going to be relied on by the United States, the Polish, and the British.
Well,
Germany has been delinquent in their funds. France has been delinquent. Spain has been delinquent. The new nations who have just joined have started paying more than their fair share. Sweden, Norway, and Finland have paid more.
Okay.
I mean, even countries like Estonia and Greece are meeting their fair share, and they're some of the poorest countries in Europe.
But I'm fine with the sentiment that if you're going to be part of this organization, you should meet your financial obligation. But actually stating that you would tell Russia to essentially attack the countries?
That's where I say that was a little over the line. I don't agree with what was said. Although I do agree with the sentiment that we won't defend you if you're not paying into your fair share.
Also, I have to follow up by why use Russia? Why not say I'll tell India if they can do whatever the hell they want with you? Why did he pick Russia if Russia is not supposedly such a bad country? I mean, Tucker Carlson has went there, so why is he using that country?
I can see the reason why he used Russia. The reason he probably used Russia is because NATO was originally formed to combat the Soviet Union, which was Russia. So I think because that's what it was originally formed for, which honestly, if we're going to be honest, honestly, I feel like NATO might be a little obsolete now.
Really?
Because, and if you look back at history, alliances like this are why World War I got as bad as it did. Why so many countries got dragged into it.
So then let me present it this way, because a lot of these countries, Romania, Estonia, Poland, they tend to believe that Russia still wants the old Soviet Union back. If we got rid of NATO, do you feel that those Eastern European countries would be safe? You don't think Russia would actually be a danger to any of them?
Well, a lot of them are allies with the United States, and the United States would still defend them. I mean, I'm just saying that having an organization like NATO, I feel might be a little obsolete.
Well, if you don't have a formal organization, how can you be sure that the United States would defend them? If there is no formal organization where it's down on paper, you have some kind of agreement, what are you saying, just do it on the honor system?
Well, no. Every country, a lot of countries have their own independent alliances and treaties that are signed in between the United States and them.
Right.
That are, separate from NATO. I mean, so if countries want to continue an alliance agreement with the United States, they can sign their own independent.
Yeah, but think about it this way. Currently, Trump, when I say Trump and MAGA, I mean that because even the traditional Republicans, independents, and liberals in this country, not to mention every other member of NATO, Trump and MAGA is the only one suggesting NATO is outdated and needs to come apart. Everyone else, every member of NATO, all of the independents, conservatives, traditional conservatives, and liberals in this country think so also. Why is MAGA the only group like that?
I'm not really MAGA, but I don't know. Because I'm not the biggest Trump supporter. But I will say that from my time in the service, I really don't feel NATO is in our best interests. Do you think anyone in the U.S. military, any heads of state, you think they feel the same way? I mean, I haven't heard anyone outside of MAGA stating that. When I was deployed to the Pacific Fleet, there was a lot of officers I knew that were saying the same thing. They were saying that they're glad they were in the Pacific because they don't have to deal with NATO's bullshit.
Okay.
There's a lot of them. So it's not the most popular thought, but there are a lot of people, especially with groups like the Navy. We think we don't like NATO.
Why not? Why not?
It's not that we don't. All right. It's not that we don't like NATO. It's that we feel it's obsolete now. Like I said.
Then if it's obsolete, why are there so few folks willing to publicly state that?
Because everyone it's all about financials. NATO generates money for the war profiteers.
Okay.
So because they have this, if you do this gives us more reason to make more weapons, sell more weapons, do this, do that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, the reason Poland is such a powerhouse in Europe now is because they've been exclusively buying U.S. weapons for decades.
So let me give you this. I do have to move it. I'm going to give you this last question. This is straight out of the comment section. Naeem Barber states, I was in the U.S. Army for 10 years and have been on multiple rotations to Poland, and he's wrong, referencing you. Why do you think someone who's actually been in the region, in the military, seem to think otherwise? I mean, what is he missing?
That's his opinion.
All right.
And there's a lot of countries like, for example, Poland, Estonia, and Greece who love the fact that NATO is a thing because it gives them an insurance, but that's an insurance they can get on their own, free and clear of NATO if they wanted to.
All right. Fair enough. All right. I got to move it on, Matt. Appreciate you. And certainly give my kudos or my thanks to everyone that was in that live stream. Appreciate you coming in.
You have a good one, man.
You too. Now, and that's the question we're asking. We're talking about a tale of two statements Trump made. By the way, as always, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 15,000 likes, 600 plus of you in here. Always say you could be anywhere you want to be on this app. I do appreciate you rolling with your boy. Same on YouTube. Feel free to smash that like button. Certainly a subscription if this is the type of dialogue you enjoy. We always say we don't block, ban, or censor anyone, so understand we go left of Bernie Sanders all the way to I'm having dinner with QAnon. Our comments are from both sides of the aisle. No one gets censored. No one's blocked. It's your opinion to state. We're here to discuss it. Looking in the comments, dude straight up uninformed about NATO. Yikes. What do you think about joke Biden being incompetent? What do you think about joke Biden? I assume your comment is so biased. It's obviously you think Biden is a joke because you wrote it. What do I think about Biden being incompetent? I think it's starting to hurt his presidency. It's hurting his campaign. I think that some of the issues coming out, such as the what do you call it? The investigation in regards to the documents where the guy put down that he couldn't remember his own child's birthday and things like that. Now, Biden and his administration disputed. I get it, but it did come out. And I have to judge it fairly because if it came out on Trump, the liberals would be taking it as well. So I'm not going to just dispute what he put down, but I do understand a lot of folks say it was inappropriate for him to put it down, but he did state that. So in regards to Biden's incompetence, I will say that the more this stuff comes out, the more it is convincing folks that he does lack his mental faculties are degrading. However, I have to point out one thing that is working for Biden probably more than anything else. His opponent is Trump. I do believe that if Biden was dealing with a opponent that did not have as much baggage orbiting around him like Trump does, his chances would be weaker. So I do believe that is helping and working in Biden's favor. Going back to the box, tap the screen. Appreciate that. 20,000 likes is possible if you let your thumbs not be lazy. Going back to the box, we'll go straight to Stick Darula. Why would Trump suggest that if you don't meet your financial obligations, he would actually promote Russia? Encourage is the word he used. He's going to encourage them to do whatever the hell they want with folks that are actually our allies. I don't get that. Now, my last caller, I don't know what happened there. We'll keep it moving. I tried to bring up my last caller and something took place. Continue the program. We'll bring up Moo, the Ping Pang Pow, liked. Okay, all right. Oh, Hugh. I don't see the rest of that name, but good afternoon, Hugh.
Hey, good afternoon, man. Unlike your last guest, I wasn't saying good things about you. I was telling people, did you hear about handsome liberal going on a cruise when Chicago got all that weather? You know, his people need him over there, man. You know?
Well, no matter who you are, you got a vacation eventually. I mean, Chicago's always got a problem going on.
I'm just messing with you, man. I hope you had a good time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So Trump suggests, let me just phrase it this way. Why is Trump so anti-NATO?
Well, if you don't mind me touching on the whole part about, what he said, yeah, like last guy said, I don't think I would have said exactly how Trump did, but, I mean, did anybody stand up for Germany in the interwar period when France took over part of their territory for not paying their war bills? I mean, at the end of the day, what about us? Can we just not pay our bills? We got $30-something trillion in debt. If we just say, no, we're not paying it, should we just be left alone?
No, but let me rephrase it. Do you see what Trump said? And I agree with you. They should meet their financial obligations that they signed to agree upon. But do you believe what he said hurts our relationship with our international allies? Do you believe that stuff is hurtful to the U.S.?
Yeah, I think you could call people out on not taking care of their financial obligations and leave out the part of encouraging a quote unquote, superpower slapping you around for it. Sure.
Yeah. So I guess I'm going to pass a question on to you. Chris on YouTube said NATO is bullshit. Do you see, because Trump also seems to think, like my last caller suggested, that NATO is outdated. Do you favor the disbanding of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization? Do you think they should break that up, leave everybody on their own, and figure it out with maybe a friend or two if you get in trouble?
Well, its original purpose was against the communist Soviet Union, and that dissolved in 1991. The thing is, I'm a combat vet also. The thing is, after 9/11, where were our friends at, right? We got a contingent. England helped us out, right? We got a small contingent from Poland. We got, when people say, "Oh, these other countries, they helped us," look at the numbers they put there. Those are.
Well, let me interrupt. Let me interrupt.
100.
Yeah, I get your. Let me interrupt it. I'm not going to limit your time, but when you talk about after 9/11, I mean, obviously you're talking about the coalition of the willing, and you're suggesting not a lot of folks helped us. How do you respond to some of those folks who might say, after 9/11, considering what Al Qaeda and bin Laden did to the United States, you went into Iraq. Iraq did not house bin Laden. He was found in Pakistan. You attacked the wrong country, and you're faulting us for not following you into a sovereign nation that had nothing to do with your problems. How do you respond to that?
I respond, hey, nice story, bro. I'm talking about Afghanistan. Where were our allies in Afghanistan outside of England?
But once again, Iraq was first. So you go into Iraq.
Wasn't.
We didn't go into Iraq before Afghanistan?
No, we had special forces in Afghanistan by October, and we had actual conventional ground troops within 6 months.
Wait a minute. You're telling me before we went into Iraq, we went into Afghanistan first?
Yes, we went into Iraq March 2003.
So why did we go into Iraq to begin with?
That right there, I mean, because I don't buy into the whole he's finishing Daddy Bush's job, because Daddy Bush whipped their ass pretty damn good. You know what I mean? That right there, I think, was just pure money, right?
But think about now. You are combat training. By the way, I appreciate your service. I was not, so I'm not going to talk down to you for your military service. I appreciate that. But what I want to ask you is, even someone like yourself who served is willing to admit it was a money play and things like that. Now that comes after you suggesting that no one helped us after 9/11. Do you think doing something like that, going to war over bullshit, as you're stating, may have affected why people didn't want to participate?
All right, well, I went to Iraq, and no, we should have never gone there. Okay, I can hold that opinion and still say, where were our friends at in Afghanistan, right? And okay, so give it 14, 15 months between 9/11 and Iraq. So they had 15 months to step up and say, hey, we got your back, U.S. What they did to you was wrong, and what do you need? But when you got, small countries, I think Poland, their total troop number was around 2,000 at its peak. I mean, hey, cool, 2,000, but that's not enough to even have a combat force out there. That's just logistics. And hey, we appreciate you driving the forklift around, but we're supposed to go and send our kids over there and face, thousands and thousands of Russian tanks for the last 50 years. And when we get into some shit, we're like, hey, we'll make coffee. Come on, man. So
then you mentioned Afghanistan. Once again, though, considering that we were pissed off with Al Qaeda and bin Laden, was Afghanistan even the right place to go? I mean, we found him in Pakistan.
Well, I mean, yeah. They were hard. That was his training grounds and stuff like that. He only went to Pakistan because we went to Afghanistan, right? And unfortunately, the way that we fight wars these days, I think we created more terrorists than we got rid of.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you that as someone who went to Afghanistan, looking back at those conflicts, both Iraq and Afghanistan, which we put a number of years there, is there anything that the United States can say we gained this because of the Iraq or Afghanistan involvement? Did we get, because the Taliban, if I'm correct, the Taliban is back in control in Afghanistan. What positive came out of us because like you said, Bin Laden was captured in Pakistan. So going to Afghanistan and going to Iraq, what did we gain by doing that?
I mean, if you're a stockholder,
Oh my
you might have benefited from it. But, you know, hey, George Bush, #1, he showed that. That's how you fight a war. You get 100 countries to back you up and say, we got your back 100%, and you go in there and you just tell the generals, win. And they won. That's how you fight a war.
But even with Iraq, even with Desert Storm, which you're referring to, at the end of the day, you left the commander, left the leader, talking about Saddam Hussein, in charge, so that his son ended up having to deal with him again. So even if you support how HW handled it, he left it to the point we had to come back because of all of that. If you rise up against Saddam Hussein, the United States will give you help. And then we lied and left them to fry at the hands of Saddam Hussein, leading to us to have to say, well, he's attacking his own people, so we got to go back now because H.W. Bush left it incomplete.
Well, I mean, hey, it's unfortunate because we all know that Saddam was a bad dude, right? But not taking him out, there was no power vacuum there. The region was fairly stable. We enforced a no-fly zone, and the region was fairly stable. So it's unfortunate that sometimes you have to leave a terrible dude in place to keep stability in the region. But look what happened when we got rid of him. So, yeah. I mean, that makes your case exactly for saying, hey, we got you out of the country that we were morally and ethically and legally justified of getting you out of. That's about as far as we're really able to go. The world kind of, you know, got their panties in a bunch when they saw, I know you can't say everything on TikTok, but the highway of unaliving, right? When we were just whooping ass, you know?
Yeah. And
they said, hey, that's enough is enough. And unfortunately, yeah, we had to leave a dictator in place. But the region was fairly stable. And no, we shouldn't have told those people. We shouldn't have told them to rise up against them unless they actually had our back. But you know what? I'll look at it this way. It's kind of like if you go down to, you know, your craziest Paul Blanco used car dealership and you get boned for a 22% interest rate. That's the way I kind of look at it. Like, hey, if you believed what America says, that's on you, bro, because we have not been very good at holding our word.
In that statement you just made, and by the way, Chris, for that super chat on YouTube states America first. We'll talk about that, but thank you, Chris. In regards to what you just said, you know, God bless anybody who's willing to trust America. That may answer your original question, why so few people want to help us when we go to war, because we often start unnecessary wars. The rest of these countries that are members of NATO do not have a history of Vietnam, North Korea, or the Korean War, the Vietnam War. We tend to start a hell of a lot of wars where American freedom is we're not at risk. We're not fighting wars for self-defense. We're fighting wars, as you talked about, for money or to promote an American way of life or to stop communism. We're literally telling other countries how they should be ran.
I don't deny that I'm a beneficiary of imperialism.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is one, and that can lead to folks.
I wish I was born earlier. I'm sorry to speak over you, man, but I wish I was born earlier and I could have served in a more admirable war for everybody, you know. But unfortunately, for my generation, we went and we made stockholders a bunch of money. And you know what? We just in this country, you know, we think we're poor because we don't have what our neighbor has.
Yeah. There
are very few people in this country who are genuinely in poverty. You know what I mean? And that's a beneficiary of what we go out and do. Yep. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
That's how the country was founded, on colonization and exploitation of wealth. That's the way we continue to this day. Hugh, I do got to move it on. As always, thank you for your service once again, man. Even though, you know, you may have not been sent there for the right reasons, you went there thinking you were. So I appreciate you coming in. Anytime. Come on back through.
Appreciate you having me on, man.
Absolute. Now, looking in the comments, yes, the NRA is still making money, and that is true, too. That is absolutely true, too. I'm from UK. We are too soft of a country. Gizmo, you don't need to be hard all the damn time on YouTube saying you're from the UK, but you're too soft of a country. It's a lot of soft countries that don't have all the damn violence of the United States. Some situations don't call for you to be hard. Looking in the comments, if you get a chance, watch a documentary called Why We Fight, says Grandma. I'd be curious to see what side of the aisle that documentary comes from, because having lived personally through the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2 decades of the 2000s, you'd be amazed at how intelligent someone can make the need to go to a bullshit war sound. Colin Powell, for instance, on television showing you satellite footage of trucks that reportedly had weapons of mass destruction. Sounds like a legitimate reason to go to war, to make sure folks are safe, right? Looking back, hindsight, what do you think? Going back to the box, appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. A tale of two statements. One being Trump suggesting that multi-platinum record-selling artist Taylor Swift is not loyal and that she cannot endorse Biden because he passed legislation when he was president that allows her and a lot of musicians to make a lot more money when their music is streamed. So Trump's referred to Taylor Swift as disloyal. Also talked about her husband, Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs, as a liberal. So it's also attacking the politics of her boyfriend, not husband yet, but boyfriend. Also, why is Trump so anti-NATO and pro-Russia? Straight back to the box, the one and only Moo, the tuxedo cat. It's sad, says T. Some folks feel that way. Moo, good afternoon.
What's going on, man? How are you?
And not much. I'm trying to shake it off. Apparently, Taylor Swift is disloyal. What say you?
I mean, she already endorsed Biden prior election, so I don't see what the problem is at this point, other than, she scares the shit out of him. She's more popular than Trump. She has more fans than Trump. And if she wants to, she's going to make Trump lose the election.
You think Taylor Swift is more popular than Trump?
Fuck yeah, she is, bro. She has a lot more fans than Trump, too.
Wow.
Not just by a little bit either. And her fans are far more rabid when it comes to doing what she says than Trump's fans are for him.
Now, because because Taylor Swift is an international superstar, I would probably buy into that she has more fans than Trump. But you said that her fans are more rabid, willing to do more for her than MAGA would do for Trump. You think?
Oh, yeah.
You think a bunch of Swifties would go to the Capitol building on January 6th and do that?
Well, Taylor Swift would never say such a stupid thing to do, but yeah, man, if she stepped on someone's eyeball in the middle of Park Avenue in Austin, nobody would bat an eye and she would lose no support.
But isn't Taylor Swift, most of her fans, girls and gay guys, though?
I mean, I don't know who makes up all her fans, right? I mean, I don't want to blanket like millions and millions and millions of people, man.
I'm just saying, I mean, not to be derogatory about it, but I don't know any dudes that are Swifties. I mean, it's usually women.
Really? Her boyfriend?
Well,
boyfriend's not a fan?
I mean, I would become a Swiftie if I was banging a billionaire. I get that, but I'm saying,
But
folks,
you said no men. You know one right there.
Okay.
Right?
All right, okay, the one guy, but I'm saying, and I don't even know if Kelce was a Swiftie before he started dating her. You really see her having a large male audience?
First of all, there's more women in the world than there are men, so it's more
True.
a threat to have more women than men. Women outnumber men by a lot in this world, especially in China.
Then why don't they lead?
Sorry, not in China.
So let me ask you, and I agree with you, certainly even in this country, there's more women than men. Then why don't they lead more?
Yeah.
Why aren't there more women leaders?
Well, I mean, we haven't had a good history making women leaders, right? Women had to go through suffrage just to gain the right to vote. They're still oppressed with rights, reproductive rights. So the patriarchy is present in this country, and they try very hard to hold women down. It's very hard for a woman to hold a position of power to get ridiculed, right? Like, look at how the right treats AOC. And she's one of the best politicians you have. She doesn't take any corporate money. All of her ideas are amazing. And they hate her simply because she's a Latina woman. And she's a Democrat. They don't listen to what she says. They just hate her because she's a woman.
Well, you don't expect the right I mean, that would be like asking why don't the left respect Marjorie Taylor Greene? I mean, her policies are left. I mean, you don't expect the right to like AOC, do you?
No, the thing is, if Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying some shit that made sense, I would, except she comes out and she shows dick pics in the middle of Congress. So that's why people don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she's all hopped up on dick pics.
Well, it's interesting you would say about the patriarchy, because Lex Luger on YouTube is saying, oh my God, women make me breakfast. Well, in regards to you pointing out,
There you go.
yeah, that was pretty sexist. But in regards to the fact that women outnumber men, now women been able to vote since 1920. Now we see what's happening with the Republican Party in regards to reproductive rights, abortion rights, Roe v. Wade. Why are there so many women, if they think their rights are being taken by Republicans, why are there so many female right-wingers?
Well, women tend to vote the way their husbands vote, and that's also due to the patriarchy, right? Most women just tend to go along with whatever their husbands say. Now, certain things will make them split from that, right? Like the abortion issue is a big deal, and a lot of women are splitting from the right when it comes to that. So it really depends on the issue, but generally, a wife goes along with how their husband's voting.
So are you suggesting that when it comes to voting, most women are sheep?
Not so much sheep as not so much willing to, because knowledge is hard, right? Going along with what someone else tells you to do is easy. So gaining knowledge for yourself is much harder than just going along with what your husband's telling you. And people generally usually take the path of least resistance in life. That's the path of least resistance.
Okay.
Gaining political knowledge is hard, which why MAGA don't know shit.
Well, I've got to say, though, Moo, the way you describe that, it sounds like a really well-orated version of what a sheep is. You say they're taking the path of least resistance. If you're not doing any of your own homework, and you're just following somebody blindly, assuming they did, how is that not a sheep?
Yeah. Damn, dude, that sounds a lot like MAGA. Right? Damn, dude. Oh, shit, you just described MAGA. So let's see, there's about 70 million people comprised of men and women just going along with whatever the fucking orange idiot says. So, I stand by what I said.
All right, fair enough. NATO. Why do you think Trump is so anti-NATO, suggesting at some points that it should be disbanded? Do you think NATO is outdated?
Really, the idea that Trump wants to get out of NATO just proves that he likes communism, because one of the priorities of NATO is to stop the spread of communism. So Trump might be a commie. Be careful, guys, because that's one of the main things of NATO is to stop communism. Yeah. Be careful. Do I think it's outdated? Yeah, maybe. But the idea that they don't pay is also bullshit, right? Because 2% of GDP is what people contribute to NATO. All countries part of NATO, 2% of their GDP gets contributed. So the idea that people weren't paying is bullshit. It's another lie from Trump. And it's because he likes Putin. He wants to be a dictator. He wants to be Putin. He's a big old cuck for Russia, right? He wanted to build a hotel there, and Putin keeps on stringing him along, saying, oh, yeah, you just go along with me, and I'll let you build your hotel. It never happens. He's just stringing Trump along, right?
Well, I mean, how do you think America would benefit? And by the way, Mahalia Noble, appreciate that cowboy hat. Thank you. How do you think America would be better off if we did get out of NATO like he keeps suggesting?
No, generally, you want to have allies in the world, right? You want to have like-minded people that are a coalition with you. The idea behind NATO might be a little outdated, but the idea of having countries banding together for a coalition to defend each other is not a bad idea. I mean, unless you're like a dictator, right? Then it's a horrible idea.
All right, well, some would suggest that. Last but not least, Biden ain't been looking good lately. I don't know if we talked about this last time, but you got folks, even with his investigation coming out and saying the guy couldn't even remember the death of his own child. Do you think Biden, well, I think you've admitted already that you see Biden in cognitive decline.
Yeah, he's a security threat to the country, but so's the guy running against him, right? Again, the only reason I'm voting for Biden is because he will leave office when he's done, or if he loses. Well, I guess if he wins, he can't lose again, but he will leave office peacefully without a coup, without fake electors, right? That's the only reason I'm voting for him. And Trump was a horrible president. He would be a horrible president again. Plus, I mean, he came up with that crazy-ass fake elector scheme last time. Lord only knows what he's going to try to do do if he loses this time, right? Or if he actually does win the presidency again, and then it's time for him to leave because he's done 8 years. Lord only knows what kind of concocted scheme he would come up with to stop himself from leaving office.
No chance we would just get cheap gas. We would have the global affairs fixed, have a good economy. No, there's no chance at all he'd actually be a good president.
Market, which is what by all standards Republicans seem to look at for the economy, is lit because of AI. It has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with Biden. The stock market is off the chain because of generative AI. That's the sole reason the stock market is in an all-time high right now. It has nothing to do with either of those dumbasses. Okay? Oil, we don't own the oil that comes out of the ground. OPEC owns the oil as soon as it comes out of the ground. America doesn't see a damn dime of that, and the Biden administration is pumping far more oil out of the ground than the Trump administration did. So your idea that cheap gas prices is determined by the president is nonsense. It's determined by OPEC, and unless the president is willing to put pricing regulations in place, which neither of them will because they both get tremendous amounts of donations from oil companies, it ain't gonna happen.
Well, real quick before I let you go, on YouTube, I can't pronounce the name, but the guy says, I wish I could say to this guy is just messing around, but people, in other words, he's saying he wish he could actually say that, you're just kidding. But he's saying that, but people really think like you. It's really unfortunate. So there's a lot of folks. So he's basically saying you're off your rocker move, but I do got to move it on, man. Go ahead. I'll give you the last word.
Well, so the thing is, my ideas are wildly popular with MAGA. They're wildly popular with the right wing. Again, people like clean air. They like clean water. They like universal health care. They like having a house. They like the child tax credit. These are all ideas that AOC advocate for and that many progressives advocate for. And the only reason they don't listen to us is because they've been taught by their party to hate anyone who's a Democrat or a progressive, right? And the reason they teach you that is because if you went along with what we said, you would get the things that you're looking for and you would abandon them. So you're the dumbass.
Wow. All right, Moo. Appreciate you coming on. Strong conversation as always. You know how we do it. Thank you.
Have a good one, man.
You too. All right, look it in the comments. We all like free handouts. Yeah, I assume so. Also, I'm a Democrat. Wow, that's interesting. And you said that about my last caller who favored having AOC as commander-in-chief, and you said it's sad he thinks like that. NATO is proven to be archaic. Their purpose has been Russia, and look how Russia is handling them in Ukraine. I think Russia is doing very poorly against the Ukrainians right now, certainly with the assistance of the United States. You would have assumed Ukraine would have been a pushover for Russia. 2 years? So I don't know about that. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. 800 plus of you in here. We could probably get to around 45,000 likes if you folks show your boy some love, tap the screen, let your thumbs not be lazy. Always helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA. Understand MAGA are the preferred guest of the show. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone's comment. So if you disagree with somebody in the comment section or if you disagree with the host, no one gives a damn. So understand, if you enjoy civilized dialogue without worried about the host trying to block, ban, or censor your opinions, follow the program. You're in the right place. That's what we do here Monday through Friday. Much respect to you, handsome liberal. Thank you. Appreciate the accolade. Thank you. Going straight to the box. We'll keep the program moving with Jen Cat, the RN. Good afternoon, Jen. Talking about, first of all, is NATO become outdated and is Taylor Swift disloyal to Trump? Jen, good afternoon. Cool tea. Appreciate it. Jen, good afternoon.
Hey, I actually just want to bring up absolutely something else because I think it overshadows and overrides everything else that you're talking about. I am a survivor of SA, and I was very much traumatized by what happened to me, and it's taken me years. I'm 46 now, and it's taken me years to get over. And I'm just really confused and concerned how any person can support a man who has been found liable and responsible for the attack of a woman. And there are 26 other women that have accused him of the same thing. He has been heard on tape saying that he can freely walk through a dressing room where an unconsenting women and girls, young girls, are nude. And he was also heard saying that he can grab women by the genitalia without their consent as well. I think this sets a very bad precedence for our nation. It increases and will encourage people to continue this kind of behavior.
Wait, hold on, Jen, let me just interrupt. I'll let you continue, but you do understand that Bill Clinton won 2 terms with literally most of the stuff you're saying was happening with Bill Clinton. There are folks who actually accuse...
Sir, I'm sorry, that's incorrect, because with Bill Clinton's cases, most, if not all, except for one, were consensual.
I don't believe that's the
Monica
case.
Lewinsky took part and consented to it. There was only one case against Bill Clinton that was non-consensual, and they settled that case out of court.
Yeah, but
They were all consensual.
But that's not the point I'm trying to make. Is you talked about, in addition to Trump losing the liability case to E. Jean Carroll, how many other women have come forward and suggested that he abused them. Some women did come forward and suggest that Clinton abused them. It didn't go to court. They didn't have the benefit of coming up 30 years later like E. Jean Carroll had the benefit of being able to do that. But there are women that suggest that Bill Clinton abused them.
From my understanding in the research in the topic, which I've done excessively, the women that partook with Clinton were consensual except for one, which did go to court, and then Clinton decided to take that out of the media's light and settle it out of court. There's a reason for that.
Okay. Now, I've heard different, so I don't, I'll just leave it at that, but I've certainly heard different. Isn't Tara Reid or somebody named Tara Reid accusing Biden of something similar?
So the Tara Reid case is interesting because she was actually found to have purged herself on the stand. Her own attorney refused to represent her anymore because he knew she was lying, and then after that, she defected to Russia.
Well, let me just say this, and I'm not defending Trump by any means. I'm just simply saying, if you're going to go after folks because they've been accused by women, I don't see how Biden or Bill Clinton gets a pass on that. For other than Obama and Bush, all of them have been at least accused of violating some woman's innocence.
Sure, but the difference is that Trump was found responsible and liable. End of story.
Yeah. Okay, but as I stated before, though, Trump was found liable because his alleged victim had the benefit of the law opening up its doors and allowing someone to pursue a case that was decades old. Bill Clinton, fortunately, did not have that same law open up on him, or there would have probably been a bunch of women that would have came forward.
So you're saying that it's inappropriate for a woman who has suffered a trauma to have repression, or how to deal with it and cope with it appropriately or in her fashion it's not okay, and you don't believe her, which is victim blaming, so that way, further people who have experienced this go into the closet because they're afraid of things just like this.
You heard my statement and you interpreted all of that out of that?
Yeah,
I didn't even give you my opinion.
What you're doing is you're saying, oh, it's not that bad because it took her 30 years to come forward. Well, that's crap, because maybe it took her 30 years to process it. Maybe she kept the dress and it hung it away because just the sight of the dress was too traumatic for her. Maybe something like that. I don't think it's fair for anybody that has no education in psychology or trauma to tell somebody that the way she's coping with her trauma is incorrect.
Okay, and I appreciate you coming on and giving a passionate statement, but Jen, I didn't even give you my opinion on why, whether somebody coming forward after years is bad or not. You really interpreted a lot out of what I said. I just simply said that if in Trump's case, New York changed their law so that women who felt victimized could come forward years later. The point I made is that if Bill Clinton's victims had the benefit of the same law, he would have likely faced cases in court as well. That's all I said. You interpreted a lot more out of that than what I said.
You're dealing with semantics, and you're also dealing with a situation where maybe you're saying like that, but there are people that are listening that feel that she's lying and that she did this just for money and all of this BS, and that is just not true, because what you're doing is you're making somebody who suffered a sexual trauma that they didn't cope and all of that way, whether it was done by Trump, Bill Clinton, Biden, whatever, it doesn't matter. Nobody has the right to tell anybody that the way you're coping with your trauma is inappropriate or incorrect. There is no right or wrong way to cope with your trauma. If it takes a woman or a man, even, because men are victimized too, if it takes them 30 years to come forward, then it takes them 30 years to come forward. I know that there are many, many men out there who were victims of attacks from, clergy members or the Boy Scouts that have just now come forward, and they're 40, 50, 60 years old. Does that make them wrong?
No. Let me just ask you. Let me just hang on. Hold on. Let me just ask you a fairly simple question. You can give me your opinion any way you want. I don't limit or ban you for whatever you have to say. But do any women make up stories about being sexually assaulted? Is that unheard of? Do some women lie about it, or do you believe that every woman that says she's assaulted is telling the truth?
I have looked at the statistics, and I will tell you that there are people, not just women, there's also men that make up their stories. But I would like to, let you know, statistically speaking, and you can look it up yourself, the number of people that lie about their assault is a extremely low percentage in comparison to the people that actually suffer it.
So then
to use that analogy is just victim blaming.
Wait, I asked a question. How are you interpreting this? Analogy? I just asked you, do women lie?
Because when you bring up the fact that people lie about it, yeah, of course people lie about it. Trump is a pathological liar. He lies about everything. The point is that, yeah, there are bad people in the world, but most of the people that suffer trauma, sexual trauma in particular, they do not come forward right away, and they do not talk about it because it's too humiliating, it's too traumatic. You relive it over and over again, and for you to say, oh yeah, but people lie about it, you know what, that's a form of victim blaming and not believing them. You don't believe them. And you know what, Trump was found liable and responsible for the attack on her with evidence.
I'm not saying, listen, let me get something clear to you. I'm not saying that what E.G. Carroll won in court, so I'm not saying that Trump is innocent. I'm not on that bandwagon. I'm just simply saying, asking to verify if a woman is telling the truth and just not automatically taking her point. You mentioned that it is statistically rare, for instance, that a woman makes this up or whatever the case may be. You also understand it's fairly rare for a woman to be sexually assaulted and come forward in court 3 decades later. That's also fairly rare, isn't it?
No, it is not. No, it is not. It is absolutely not. And for you to say that is really inappropriate, and it makes victims like myself, who first did not come forward and then had to wait, to feel shitty about how they dealt with their trauma. And that's not fair.
Right.
The victim shouldn't be held responsible for anything. And you're making them, holding them to some kind of standard of time that it's necessary for them to come forward to be found believable. That's a joke, right?
Okay. And I would just tell you this. I do believe your points would be far more stronger if you had the same passion you have in me towards those few folks you're mentioning that lie about it, because they make your path harder. That's the reason you get questioned.
The bottom line is that Trump was found responsible. He was found liable. And any man, and I'm sure you do because you seem like a really cool dude, you probably have women in your life that are very important to you, that you love very much. Okay. And if something like that had happened to them, I have a feeling you would not vote for the perpetrator if they were running for president. So for me, it makes me feel like there's a more moral and ethical issue going on, that any person would vote for Trump, who has been convicted of being an SAer and to run the country, let alone be the most powerful man in the world. What kind of precedence does that send in our community?
All right, I do got to move it on, but I'll answer your question by simply saying Trump supporters do not believe he had. Now, they don't believe he did it. If they actually felt confident that he committed that violation, you probably would have many of them thinking like you, but they don't. They believe what this woman did was a money play. Whether or not you agree with it, I'm just simply telling you the mindset. A lot of folks believe what she did was a money play.
And that is just a perfect example that you illustrated about the tone of our community and our country, and how violence against women is seen as okay, no problem. If you're a YT man and you do something like that, then, you know, it's okay. You'll get a pass. You'll get less of a sentence. But if I have a feeling that if Trump was a man of color, he would have had the book thrown at him. And
I don't know about that, because I'll tell you.
And those MAGA supporters, they would also not be voting for him.
I don't know if I totally agree with that, because a lot of folks thought it was a money play on Bill Cosby and R. Kelly as well. So those are African Americans, and folks thought it was a money play. There's no shortage of people that believe those women on particularly Bill Cosby were doing it for the money, with the exception of the fact that Bill Cosby made self-convicting statements just like Trump about grabbing him by the you-know-what. But outside of that, a lot of folks believe it's a money play. I do got to move it on, though, Jen.
Would you vote for the man or woman that violated somebody that you love?
If I felt confident they did it, no, I would not.
So then what's the difference? This man was found liable in a court of his peers, period. Yeah. And they did it without DNA.
Yeah. Well, once again, though, I'm telling you, the folks on the right, particularly MAGA, believe that whole court system was railroaded, and the fix was in from the moment he walked in court. That's how folks feel about that.
If you looked into a lot of their past, they probably have some shameful behavior against women.
Damn. All right, Jen, strong statement. I didn't think you would go there, but listen, you're always welcome back on the program. We don't agree on everything.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Absolute. Door is always open to you. Going back to the box. Wow, I got dragged through the box. I wasn't expecting that, but as I point out, I don't mind being challenged. I don't get every damn thing right. Sometimes you folks come on here and educate me. So fair enough. She had a strong statement why she would absolutely never vote for Trump. And if a lot of women feel the same way she does, Trump could be in trouble with the women's vote. Look it in the comments. One point needs to be added. Trump was not convicted in a criminal case. It was civil. True. But that's probably because the statute of limitations had ran out so that it couldn't be tried in criminal court. That's not to say Trump would have been victorious. So understand that. Brave to hurt, says Adam. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to... I like to be engaging. I'm fine with a challenge. But listen, that woman obviously went through some serious issues on personally herself. I'm not going to beat up somebody like that. I mean, that's not the type of program I run. We don't agree with everything, but I'm not going to beat up someone who is out here giving testimony of something she really went through. Looking in the comments, oh my God. Someone says maybe she did. That's mean. My 3 kids. You think she would just make that up? William, thank you for the chandelier. Appreciate that. William, thank you. By the way, tap the screen. We're near 50,000. You guys may be able to make 60,000 likes happen if you let your thumbs not be lazy. I do appreciate you folks participating and tapping the screen. I'll go right back to the box real quick on YouTube. She is worried about Trump from 30 years ago that may or may not have happened, but no comments about Biden touching kids. Big red flag on the voter. And there are some folks that believe that Biden is a danger to children or that he has victimized children. I will just tell you this before I go back to the box. I'll just make this one quick statement. I think folks oftentimes use, and this is no reference at all to my last caller, so understand this has nothing to do with her. But I do believe some folks use sexual assault, particularly where children are victims, simply as a weapon to demonize others. Because Biden was in politics 40 plus years. How long were folks saying he was, doing things to children, or Hillary Clinton drinking the blood of everything? None of that stuff was being said. And that woman has been in the mainstream most of our adult lives. Some of this stuff is just being used against people as a weapon. So I just want to bring that up, that I don't buy into all of this stuff, because I know a lot of it is not true. Same thing with the LGBT community. Folks are treating them literally like they are abusers of children. I don't want you going in the other washroom because you're going to do something to my child. Same thing when when before trans era, it was the gay era. They were saying the same thing for the gays. You're going to mess with kids. The LGBT community does not have a history of pedophilia. Why is it? But when the Catholic Church was doing it, you didn't hear a damn thing. You didn't, because that tends to side with the evangelicals and folks on the right. I don't get it, but folks are using that as a weapon as opposed to really trying to seek the truth. Going to the box. And the Catholic Church, by the way, has a documented history. Yet we're treating the LGBT community like they're the threat. I don't get it. Going back to the box, we'll keep the program moving with Lynette. Good afternoon, Lynette. Welcome to the program. Now, we were originally talking about Trump suggesting that Taylor Swift is disloyal. Lynette, good afternoon. Okay, Lynette came in and went. We'll keep moving. Trump was never at the island. In regards to the Epstein thing, folks are suggesting that folks who went to the island should be viewed as, abusers of children. And because Trump didn't go to the island, even though there are all kinds of pictures of him on YouTube with the guy, but he didn't go to the island. My take on this is simple, and I'll go right back to the box. If someone has the power and money that Epstein had, and a pimp, by the way, Ghislaine Maxwell or whatever her name was, he literally had a pimp so he could dial her up and bring me a victim over. You're going to tell me the only time that man was committing assaults was when he was on the damn island? The man got all the money in the world. You think if he's laying in his penthouse in New York somewhere and he feels like, doing something, he's got to get up, go to the airport and fly to the fucking island? Are you kidding me? The fact that people were around him and didn't go to the island does not excuse them. You think all his assaults only took place on the island? That makes no sense at all. Going back to the box, anybody that hung around that guy, if you're going to really look at it, should be questioned. Not the folks that just went on the island. That's like trying to make an excuse to make sure Trump gets taken out of the picture. If you're around the guy, you're around the guy. And then Trump's around the guy at a party, surrounded by young girls. So you throw in this little island piece to help Trump out? Now, come on now. Let me go back to the box. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Stick the ruler. Good afternoon. What's up?
What's going on, my man? Hey, this is the problem, right? Right now, we living in that day and time. There is no more. You're ruined by the people and or your company. They could bring you down. It's just kind of like we got the same state of mind. Let's just keep this Trump train going. That's all that's on people's minds. I mean, when he can say some junk like what he said about NATO, I mean, he already let you know who he likes more than America. He likes Putin. He likes the way Putin runs things. He likes the idea that Kim Jong-un or whatever Kim Jong-un is.
Kim Jong-un. You're going to get mocked in the comments. Kim Jong-un. Go ahead.
Yeah, he likes the idea that he's basically worship. I mean, that's what he gets from MAGA, and he wants more of it, and he wants to make people worship him.
But let me ask you this thing, because you're speaking about Trump, and he wants to be a dictator or want people to worship him. Why you're saying all in the comments, Trump 2024? I got users saying we need Trump. Why is he so favorable if he is the guy you're suggesting?
He's favorable because there's still a lot of people in this country that think the way he does, to the sense of, white power. I just told you, MAGA to me means the South shall rise again. And who's on his side? The South. And you know, it comes to mind. They didn't even like their salsa from New York City, but they got Donald Trump, the biggest city slicker there is. But the whole South has bought into his bullshit, and that's just what it is. The whole South.
But Biden is, but I got to throw back. Biden's a white man. Biden passed the crime bill. Folks are going to bring that up. That was.
Yeah, but Biden, let's, okay, so it sounds good when people say Biden passed the crime bill. What actually happened was a bunch of other senators in Congress voted on the bill and passed it together. It wasn't just solely on Biden. Biden wasn't the president when that went through either. So it's kind of like a lot of colleagues, black, white, and Asian and indigenous and any other people that were in Congress at the time and in the House and everything else, they voted on it. And they all came to conclude the same thing that the people in the neighborhoods were saying. This stuff is messed up.
Well,
y'all got to do something.
Yeah, but then we can't fault. Then if that's the case, we can't fault Trump for supporting Giuliani, who's in favor of stop and frisk. Because I'm not a fan of stop and frisk.
Well,
but it was.
See, I didn't. But that's me. I didn't. Okay, I've lived in New York, but I did not live in New York when stop and frisk was going on. When I lived in New York, there was a guy named John Gotti that Rudy Giuliani was trying to get.
Right.
And him and Donald Trump have similar attitudes and or way they move. Because Trump is 91 charges and 4 times indicted. So at the end of the day, you can call him the new Teflon Don.
Well, but Trump is only charged. Well, I got to give Trump the benefit of the doubt. He's only charged. He's not convicted. But in regards to folks having an ill or a negative view of Trump, in the comments, I've seen folks like, I think, Grind Different Detail and says they can't control Trump with money like that other president. Is Trump someone that operates in his own sphere where he's not subject to be bought out?
Hey, Joey. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. This is my thing with that, man. The whole thing with Trump and what he has going on, it's one of those things where you can only see it and you can only judge it by what you see. But if you're so blind that you just take his word and his I don't know what you want.
Wait, hold on. You know, you mentioned if you don't see it, folks are going to say they seen $2 gas, they seen no global conflicts under Trump, they seen much lower inflation rates, they seen good job numbers. Is all the visuals of the Trump presidency really that bad?
Well, this is the thing. If we had no global conflicts, we wouldn't have to pull out of Afghanistan when Joe Biden got in office, and the actual plan to pull out would have been passed over. We wouldn't have had a January 6th. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of stuff, and I know everybody want to talk about gas prices and things like that, but just like the last caller said, neither one of them controls the gas prices, unless you do something that Trump did, which was, do you remember when he told the Saudis, I'm going to pull my military if you don't stop 10 million?
Yeah.
Now, mind you, if we would have got them extra 10 million barrels a day during the pandemic, gas would have been super cheap because we weren't using it like that.
What about Trump on the wall? Because I see folks talking about building a wall. What about Trump on the border? You think Biden is doing better, worse, or the same on the border as Trump?
Well, when it comes down to the border, I feel like Biden's plan, in sense of he actually has a plan, is way better than just a bunch of tough talk. Trump was just a bunch of tough talk. He never had a plan. If he did have a plan, I guarantee you it was racist.
So wait a minute. So you're saying Biden has a plan on the border. Do you think the 3 years he's been in office right now, you think he's done a decent job on the border?
I would say up to this point, yes. And the reason why I would say yes is because just when it's come to its height, they come to a deal and Biden says, okay, give it to me, I'll sign it. If it's shutting down the border, I'll sign it. Just give it to me. But then comes around, the person who loves this country and who says the border is a problem, said, no, don't sign that deal. And it was a Republican deal. So it confuses me when people say, "Hey, Trump loves this country." Well, if you love this country, you just said, "You know what? I'm gonna take an L on this one for y'all." I mean, he loves to spin it. Why don't he just spin it and say, I'm taking an L for y'all"?
Well, at the end of the day, they feel that if you let the border stay the way it is until Trump gets in office, you're going to get so much security at the border that it's going to be worth it. Because he's promising the largest deportation in U.S. history. Biden is not suggesting what he's going to do to get out all of the folks that's already in here.
Well, this is my thing, though. Out of everybody, you got Republicans came up with this bill. So the compromise, if there even was a compromise, because it was pretty harsh. Matter of fact, I heard it was harsher than the one that the Louisiana governor came up with, okay. I believe. Or Marco Rubio and anybody.
Well, let me interrupt you, Stick. The fact is they squares in a ton of money for the Ukraine and Israel in a border bill. That's what folks are upset about. This is about protecting the border. Why is Ukraine is not about border protection? Why is that in the bill? That's what they're complaining about.
Well, the border that they're actually in that bill, not only is it the southern border, but it's the Ukrainian border. Because they do have a border as well. And it's in our best interest, and that's why things are so cheap on our end, is it costs to be the boss.
Stick. You think we should spend 2 or 3 times more money to protect the Ukrainian border than our own? Because that's what's in that bill.
I don't believe that. But what I will say is, if you got 90% or let's just say around 70% of what you need or what you should have or what you think a border deal looks like, and you're willing to sign off on it as a Republican, and you're willing to sign off on it as a Democrat, which means, guess what? Both sides feel it, man, this ain't too bad, man. We need to go on ahead and get this done. And instead of getting it done, what you try to do is say, no, it's not going to be a win for me, then you ain't for the country. That's what it really boils down to. It don't boil down to just getting what you want. That's for babies. So,
well, I don't disagree with you that the bill was scrapped in favor of a second Trump presidency. But a lot of folks look at the bill, and as you and I agree, they're getting most of what they want in that bill. But they do believe that if we toss that out for 10 months or so and we get Trump, we'll get all of what we want. So they're taking a gamble. But Stick, I do got to move it on. Appreciate you coming in. Absolutely.
I appreciate you letting me up, Hansel, man. Keep doing what you do, man. I've been trying to get in for the last couple of weeks.
Oh, shit. You know? My apologies, but you know how it goes. Anytime I see you, I'll look out for you.
I do. You're a very famous man. Handle your business.
I wish my ex thought that. All right, look in the comments. What about them? What does that say? What about them not being able to indict Biden because he's not mentally capable of a hearing? That is very damning. We talked about that earlier in the program, that the suggestion that, yeah, he did have classified documents in his possession, under his TV, in his damn garage, in his basement, but he wouldn't make for a decent defendant because he's not within his mental faculties. That did come out. The Biden administration is obviously denying it and pushing back, but it is in there. It is in there, and that does not work well for President Biden. I would submit to you, looking at how Trump has benefited from being charged and indicted, that Biden would have been better off if they had charged him than to put that rhetoric in there that he doesn't know where the hell he's at. That's not been beneficial to Biden. Looking in the comments, that's a perk of being old. Yeah, but you shouldn't be the nation's commander-in-chief if the courts are also saying you don't know who the hell you are. That needs to be decided quick. I've stated before, and I'll go right back to the box, that Biden needs to be on television talking more and more and taking questions if he really means it when he says he hasn't lost his memory and that he's, he is alert. He needs to prove it by being out in public. Hiding him is not helping him out. Going back to the box. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. We'll go straight to Gen Xer, the one and only. Good afternoon, Gen X. Why not RFK? Before we go to Gen X, in regards to RFK, and by the way, anybody see that Super Bowl? Hang on a second, Gen X. Anybody see that weird ass a Super Bowl commercial for RFK. Why not RFK? Simple. He's not talking about the issues that either party is most concerned with. RFK may be a great presidential candidate, but we know what the left is most concerned with. We know what the right is most concerned with. He's not talking about that. Gen X, good afternoon.
What's happening, Tim? How's it going, my man?
It's going good, but I'm not Taylor Swift. Trump is saying that Taylor Swift is disloyal to him because he created legislation that allows her and artists like her. You got some noise in the background.
I do?
Yeah, something's, I don't know if it's, yeah, I'm hearing myself echoing to some degree, but the idea,
better?
okay, well, yeah, that sounds better. So what do you think of Trump saying that Taylor Swift is disloyal because he passed legislation that she would make more money when her music is streamed?
You know, that didn't really matter to me either way.
Then why say it? Why would he say that?
Well, because everybody's greedy, Tim.
Greedy how? What do you mean?
Everybody's greedy, man. Everybody wants to make the most that they possibly can, and nobody wants to. Nobody wants to be responsible for paying the most that when people are making the most.
So I don't quite get what that has to do with referring to Taylor Swift as disloyal. You think Taylor Swift should be loyal to Trump?
Well, she's not even a conservative.
Right. But he's saying that since I put money in her pocket through legislation, in his words, and I mean this is a quote, Taylor Swift cannot endorse Biden because of this legislation. Does that make sense?
To me, no.
Yeah. What about?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
And that's why I said when I heard about that, it was just kind of a raised eyebrow, and yeah, I'm gonna let that one go. They can have that one.
But that's the point. We talk about Biden's cognitive abilities in decline. Trump supposedly is sane. Why is a sane man that is completely aware of what he's saying doing dumb stuff like this? She got billions of fans.
Well, you would come again? What'd you just say to me?
I said Biden is supposedly not even aware of where the hell he's at. He's in cognitive decline. Trump is supposed to be alert and aware, which means he is saying this stuff deliberately. Why would a sane, intelligent man be making crazy ass statements like this?
Man, I know you didn't just call Donald J. Trump sane.
That's what I've been told. Is he insane?
I don't think he's old, man. When you hit 70 years old, you're not, man, you don't have all your coals in the fire, dude. You're not burning at full glow.
Wait, hold on. Gen X, aren't you MAGA? Am I getting this wrong? Did you change parties?
No, I'm MAGA 100%. I mean, I'm voting for Trump. I got no beef or issues with him. But I'm also not going to lie to myself and sit here and say that, you know, the mental capacity of my representative is at 100% when that's not a representation of the truth, of reality, because it's not. Now, if I have to decide between the two, I'm obviously going to go with Donald Trump. But again, if I could have Vivek Ramaswamy over Trump, I would take him in a heartbeat.
Oh, okay. Then that's fair.
You know?
That's fair.
But I think Trump, for the type of conservative I am, he's way better than Bird Brain. He's way better than Mr. Disingenuous.
Why are you calling a woman that was a sitting governor, Trump appointed her ambassador, why are you calling Nikki Haley Bird Brain?
Because she couldn't even name one province in eastern Ukraine that was fighting. Not even one. When Ramaswamy called her out on it, if she could have named one, I'd have never said that. She couldn't even name one. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's in it for the money. She wants to send your kids and my kids to die in a land that she doesn't even know anything about.
So
That's a bird brain. A bird brain does that.
okay, and I see in the comments. Let me ask you this, because this is in the comments from Myron Wilson. Says she is a Indian. Does her heritage mean anything to you? Would that affect you voting for her because she is from India?
Oh no, I'm a straight racist, Tim. I mean, I'm part Indian. I'm part Indian too. My granddad's from Bangalore, India. So why would that? Why? That's what I don't get, man. People jump right to, race. I don't give a shit about race. I wouldn't give a hell if she's from Mars. If she's not a bird brain, you know what I mean?
But speaking of that, she is Indian. Why do you think so many members of your party, including Trump, suddenly started using her native Indian name?
Now, is she Native American or is she?
She's born in America, but her parents gave her a traditional name from India that she has never used professionally. Why are Trump? Because Trump was calling her Nikki Haley the whole time she was an ambassador. The entire time she was the governor of South Carolina, they were calling her Nikki Haley. Suddenly she runs for president, and they're bringing up this long ass, hard to pronounce name. Why are they doing that?
I don't know. I don't. Personally, I think that part of it's irrelevant.
But you don't. You think it's irrelevant, but you don't have any idea. No, you can't speculate why they're using that name.
No, because I wouldn't do it, so I can't imagine why they would. It just doesn't. But I got to apologize to you for something, Mr. Tim.
Sure.
I got to say that I am sorry you had to deal with that tirade of idiocy by a Trump deranged syndrome victim, Jen, earlier. You didn't deserve that, man.
Well, the woman was
right, bro, and she just did not get that. And I felt bad. I was like, man, why would you attack Tim of all people? He's on your side, woman.
Yeah,
what's the matter with you?
Listen, she was a victim of a sexual assault part in her life some point. Listen, I
get that, but that's no excuse in my opinion. You know, to treat people bad. I don't. I'm nice to everybody because it's my nature. I believe that, and that just kind of bothered me to hear that. But whatever, I'm sure she has a reason. It's not my. I'm not going to dwell on that.
Yeah, I don't. Listen,
about NATO. Wanted to go over that too with you, buddy.
Real quick, I'm gonna have to move it on, but give me your take on that. Why would he say he would encourage, quote unquote, encourage Russia to do whatever the hell they want with a country, one of our allies?
Now, I think that's pretty subjective to say he encouraged it. However,
wait. Subjective? That's an actual quote. He said, I would encourage, you can put that in quotes, that's his words. I would encourage Russia to do whatever the hell they want with them. That's a quote.
To do whatever the hell they want with them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you that one. But, if you got a roommate that ain't paying his rent, and the landlord come over and want to throw him out on his ass, are you going to not encourage the landlord to do what the hell he wants with him?
No, if my roommate ain't paying his rent, then I would tell the landlord, look, I don't control his money. I'm not going to promote doing bad things to him, no. And by the way, it's a difference between a roommate and an actual ally.
How about if him not paying his rent means you got to pay his rent?
Then that's different. But even if I got to pay your rent, me and you got to sit down and have a conversation because I think this is bullshit. But I'm not going to encourage people to do bad things to you.
Well, I got to give that one some more thought, brother.
Okay.
I got to give that one some more thought.
Fair enough.
I listened to you the other day on that, and I was like,
Yeah,
I think on the fence with that.
I think it's wild. Gen X, though, I do got to move it on. Good talk as always. Appreciate you coming through.
Brother, you have a great day, man. It's always a pleasure, and I will talk to you soon, man. You have a happy Valentine's Day if I don't talk to you again, my friend.
Same to you. Appreciate it.
Valentine's Day, and
Appreciate. I clipped him a little bit, but you too, Gen X. By the way, folks, how many of you folks have heard of ADT home security? What about Brinks? These outfits where they will put alarms on your home, and then if something happens, they call 911 and protect your home when you're away. How would you feel if you were behind on your payment and Brinks or ADT told you, if you don't meet your financial obligations with us, we're going to call up the thieves in your neighborhood and tell them to break in your house and do whatever the hell they want? That's what Trump did. That is, it's one thing to try to make sure people pay what they owe you, but to suggest you're going to call the bad guy and encourage them to do something wrong to someone. Why would he do that? How is that supposed to be viewed? Look it in the comments. Chris says, blame Democrats for this conversation. Chris on YouTube, blame Democrats for this conversation. Well, a lot of the folks I'm conversing with are my beloved MAGAs, but I appreciate your comment, Chris. Tap the screen. Over 1,000 of you in here on YouTube or on TikTok. Certainly appreciate if you can get your boy up. Maybe we might be to hit 100,000 likes if you let your thumbs not be lazy. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Real quick, our dialogue is always uncivilized or civilized. We always run a civilized program, but we allow folks from both sides of the aisle to speak. So understand you're going to hear opinions you may find very favorable, all the way to the other side where you might think it's downright ignorant, because we do go left of Bernie Sanders all the way to QAnon. I'm having dinner with QAnon. So understand that we don't censor, block, or ban anybody. But if you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, I'll take this time out to suggest that you follow the program. We're here Monday through Friday. For my YouTubers, feel free to smash that like button, a subscription if you will. Monday through Friday, this is Uncivilized Conversation. FJB is in the conversation. Don Foxtrot, what is that? Foxtrot Juliet Baker, in reference to President Biden. I actually talked to the guy, Loza Alexander. We've talked on TikTok, the guy who actually made that song, the black guy with the tattoos all over his neck and shit. There's a white guy that did the same, but FJB's, Loza Alexander's song is the one that really went real high on the Billboard charts. I actually spoke to him. He got some good music, but he now is really discouraged because he's a rapper and he's running into all types of walls in terms of growing in the industry, because most of his music is kind of like the what is the guy? McDonald, I can't even think of the guy's name now, but it's right-wing music. He's a black guy, you know, writing all this anti-Biden music, and he's wondering, why all of a sudden am I meeting, you know, glass ceilings and walls? Well, you know how it is. Looking in the comments, Tim, yeah, is it Tom McDonald? That's the guy, not Tim McDonald, Tom McDonald. I see that in the comments. That's what I was talking about. And he's done blogs suggesting that he's reached out to Tom McDonald, and the guy is not really responding back of any significance. They have talked. I follow his blog. Going back to the box, and we'll keep it moving in the box with, well, I can't pronounce that, PTB, whatever, PTB name or something like that. Good afternoon, PT. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Tim, how you doing? We've talked before.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
My name's Brian, by the way. You call me Brian.
Okay. So what do you think? Trump suggesting that maybe NATO is archaic, or suggesting that if you don't meet your financial obligations, he's going to tell the boogeyman to have their way with you? You favor that?
He wasn't talking about the boogeyman. He's talking about our enemies. Like, let's just listen. Like, we've become so lulled by the stupidity of that man. It's ridiculous for him to come out and say that he's going to encourage our enemies to attack our allies because they don't pay their NATO fees is treasonous, in my opinion. And he should be spending the rest of his life in prison. Well, listen to he's encouraging attacking our allies. How could anybody listen to that and accept it or even think about voting for that?
Well, the answer is simple. They're going to interpret it differently. They're going to interpret it that maybe he went a little too far, but all he was really trying to do was get them to pay up and meet their financial obligations. And I will say that the interpretations of Trump's statements from his supporters can often be very different than how other people interpret what he's saying.
Well, what you said and what has been reported on the news is that he said that if they, our allies that are NATO members, don't pay their dues, then he was going to root for the other side to go after them. You can't really take that too many different ways.
Yeah. So folks often suggest, though, that it is Biden that leads world leaders to laugh at America. Folks often say, look, we are the laughing stock of this country with Biden. How do you think the world views us under Trump?
Well, I think when Trump was at the in New York, when all the other world leaders were laughing at him. I haven't seen any of them laugh at Biden. I heard the entire building full of other world leaders laughing at Trump and everything that he was saying because they know he's a friggin' dork. So, you know.
Why do you think he does speak so favorably of Putin? I mean, this ain't the first time. Also, suggested he would encourage Putin because he could have said, I would encourage India or some other superpower because India is a nuclear nation and they're not a member of NATO. He could have pointed to India or Pakistan or somebody. Why would he use Russia, for instance, if Russia, according to Trump, is not necessarily a bad guy? Why would he use them as the example?
Because I think he's buddies with Putin, and he's been supporting him and saying things that are pro-Russia all along. Trump supporters are continuing to say pro-Russia things. Look at Tucker Carlson the other night going over there with this softball interview, they're calling it, right? Encouraging him and saying nice things about him. He didn't ask one difficult question about the people in Ukraine that he has been slaughtering, these people that really could not defend themselves at all if the U.S. and other countries weren't there helping them. So,
but wait a minute, let's be honest though. I mean, I enjoy interviewing folks and asking tough questions and getting responses and certainly being challenged myself. However, if I was allowed to interview Putin, which I would accept the opportunity, I'm not going to go to Russia and ask that guy hardball questions. I do want to come home. So the idea that Tucker Carlson asked him softball questions, his safety, he does want to come back to America. I mean, and ain't a lot of Americans that would really be, feel sorry for Tucker, particularly in our administration, if he didn't come back. You think Biden?
Listen,
go ahead.
Yes, he should have asked the questions, those hard questions, and the fact that he didn't, he had no credibility in the first place. Everybody knows he's a joke, and the only reason he got over there was because he's pro-Trump and pro-Putin, and he's been saying pro-Putin things all along. That's the only reason he was allowed to go. There probably was stipulations that he wasn't going to ask those questions. He should have been asking the questions about why he attacked a sovereign country and has murdered tens of thousands of people over there that were basically defenseless if other countries weren't supporting them. And it's not just the U.S., by the way. There's dozens of other countries that are supporting Ukraine. Everybody thinks it's just the U.S. because our news agencies do a horrible job of reporting the help that other countries are giving Ukraine as well. But Carlson's interview was a joke. And your original question about why is Trump, talk so highly about Putin? I mean, Russia has been an enemy of the United States for a long time. We haven't been at war with them per se, but we keep them at bay. They interfere with our elections. They spy on our technology, and we have Republican leaders like Trump and reporters like Carlson that are treating him with kid gloves and letting him away with it.
What is it about Putin, though? I mean, because you're right, we've been adversaries of Russia almost right after World War II because of the way the losing nations were divided up. With everything with East and West Germany, we've been on the other side of Russia since the end of World War II. Why is Trump? Out of all of our leaders, you've never seen anyone so favorable of Trump. Why? What is it about Putin that this one guy, finally a president out of all the other ones, view favorably? Why do you think he views Putin so favorably?
Why does Trump view Putin so favorably?
Yeah, no one else does, whether right or the left. All of our presidents, the Bushes, the Reagans, they all had a negative view of Russia. Why is Trump so different?
So you just made a really good point and a really good observation, and that is that both Republican and Democratic past presidents have kept Putin at bay because they know who he really is. He's a murderer, right? Everybody that goes against him is murdered. We all know that. We see it on the news. They die in suspicious plane crashes. They get poisoned, right? So he Yeah, look, he's shaking it. We all know, like, what that man is capable of. He will not tolerate anyone going against him, and Trump knows that probably, so he's going to try to be on his good side. But our other...
Wait, are you saying that Trump is to some degree maybe afraid of Putin?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow, really?
Yep, I do think so. I think he cannot. I don't think he has the integrity or the morals to stand up to him. He doesn't have the courage. Listen. This is the guy known as Bone Spurs, that draft dodger 5 times, right? Claims to support the military and look at his own personal history. He is a coward. Unfortunately, he's a rich and powerful coward, and he gets away with everything. And so far, he's been above the law, but he is too cowardly to stand up to Putin.
Yikes.
That's my honest opinion.
All right, fair enough. Go ahead.
Listen, I know you're going to say you got to move on, but listen, at the last couple times I've talked to you, I've meant to say this. We as a country have become so lulled by the amount of division and hate that Donald Trump has spewed in this country, and the amount of things that he's accused of, right? But we all saw January 6th. Has he been convicted of being an insurrectionist? No. But did we all see what happened? Yeah, we did. He's admitted to the stolen document stuff. He just says he didn't do anything wrong. We're gone too easy on that man. We focus on all these other things, but we've forgotten the big things of what a traitor and a treasonous piece of shit he really is. People need to be harder on him, starting with the Democrats. Our own Democrat leaders are too soft on him, because nobody even knows where to begin anymore, because he's done so many friggin' horrible things. So that's my honest opinion of him. And they need to get tougher on Trump and call him out for what he really is. They're too light on him.
Well, I got to say, with the election some less than 10 months away, you're running out of time. If they were going to, January 6th that you're bringing up, that's been 3 years ago. If you're going to get tough on Trump, kind of to some degree, the time has passed. You don't have a lot of time now. He can delay it at this point.
Biden needs to fire whoever is leading his campaign. Needs to be replaced or fired. They need someone in there that can get out there and say these things that are truths that we all know, because they're not saying it right now. I totally agree with you. They have so much ammunition to use against him, and I'm not really hearing it either. They need a campaign leader who can get out there and call him out for what he is.
All right, fair enough, PT. Good talk. Always welcome back. Looking in the comment section, someone said, has anyone actually listened to what Trump has to offer? All smoke and mirrors. He's a lying con man. Yeah! TikTok ref, thank you for the hat and mustache. Definitely appreciate that. In regards to listening to what Trump has to offer, yeah, people actually have listened to what he has to offer. And whether or not you agree with what Trump is offering, a lot of folks have listened to him and they think what he's offering is good for the country, such as controlling the border. They believe Trump disbanding from NATO or NAFTA or the Paris Accord or the Iran deal. A lot of folks believe those are good policies. Just going to give it to you. Listen, I lean left a lot of politics, but I'm just, I do know what folks think on both sides of the aisle. So they have listened to Trump, and they believe his policies are better for this country than what they're hearing from the left. Certainly when it comes to the LGBT community, they have a lot of issues against that. They believe that if Trump was president, so to speak, crime in this country where folks are getting slaps on the wrist for major felonies and things like that, that wouldn't be happening. Now, you can say they're wrong or they're right in your opinion, whatever the case may be, but the fact is, folks are listening to Trump and they do favor what he's saying, and they do not like the current America we're living in or the direction our country is headed in. That's why Trump is favorable to folks who are supporting him. Looking in the comments, he promised a wall and Mexico was going to pay for it. He can't, I'm assuming you're saying we can't believe anything he says. Well, didn't Biden make a few promises that he didn't meet too? Talked about tuition forgiveness or the George Floyd bill. Fact is, you can't do it alone as president. So they make promises when really what they're saying is, I'm going to try to get this done. If you don't have control of the House and Senate, a lot of times the promises you make don't fall that way. Remember Barack Obama said, if you want your doctor, you can keep your doctor. That was something he probably wanted, but the way the Republicans gutted the Affordable Care Act, he couldn't deliver it. Same thing, Trump really wanted to put up a wall, but you got to get Congress, the House and Senate to agree with it, and they weren't going to work with him. Looking in the comments, Trump's policies aren't terrible, but his attitude and his demeanor literally makes the U.S. a joke. Biden does nothing but that is better than tweets from the toilet in the morning, says Sandy on YouTube. Yikes. A lot of folks actually agree with that. Which is why one of the biggest supports of Trump often involve pay attention to what he's doing, not what he's saying. Because even many folks that support Trump realize those tweets are not helping him out. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Certainly continue. Let your thumbs not be lazy. 110,000 likes wouldn't be bad. Got your boy over 6 figures. Yes, he could use some monitoring his mouth. You know, Geraldo Rivera, a longtime friend of Trump, stated once when he was on Fox News before him and Greg Gutfeld, but he did state that if he could have a job amongst the Trump administration, because he identifies as a Republican, stated he voted for Trump against Hillary in 2016. He said, I wish I could be the proofreader for Trump's tweets. In other words, you know, he up at 3 o'clock in the morning, take the damn computer out of his hand or phone out of his hand or whatever and send him to bed. Get off the internet. You're saying crazy shit. Going back to the box, and that's where the Taylor Swift thing came from too, by the way. Big Deshaun. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program, Big Deshaun, if it lets him on. Good afternoon, Andy. That is beautiful, Andy. Certainly a friend of the program. Andy, I do appreciate that. That certainly didn't go unnoticed. Big Deshaun, you there? Big Deshaun. Okay, apparently my last call. I will move the program on. I don't know what's going on here. We'll keep it moving. Real quick in the comments, can't see him. Okay, let me know, because sometimes that does happen. Let me know if the video comes back. Sometimes the folks come up and it makes the screen go black. So let me know if you see it. Okay, I see folks saying there you are. Taylor Swift is going to save democracy. Well, she better hurry up, Wealth. Wealth and woohoo, is that what that says? If Taylor Swift is going to save democracy, she better first get more involved in politics. I don't see Taylor Swift campaigning or on the stump. Andy, thank you. So I need, if Taylor Swift is going to do that, we need to see her out there speaking more. And we don't see that. But speaking of the one and only, Andy, it is.
Rob?
Good afternoon. Taylor Swift, not loyal. What say you?
After what I saw on Truth Social about her last night, I don't want to talk to Trump supporters about misogyny or racism ever again, because they are eat up in both. Let's talk about what they said about the national anthem.
Which is what? What did they say about the national anthem?
The fact that they played both, and Trump supporters were very...
you know something? I was watching I'll respond to that, because they play, lift every voice and sing. I used to sing that in school, play it on piano. During the time, 70s and 80s, it was never referred to as a black national anthem. And I knew the moment they started calling it that in the NBA, and now they're doing it in football, I'm like, we're going to have a lot of problems out of a hell of a lot of folks on the right. And so when they were singing it last night, I'm sitting there watching this with my family. I'm like, I know there's some MAGA out there that are not liking this. So you're saying on social media they were criticizing that song?
Oh, Truth Social was the pictures of Taylor Swift were disgusting. They had her in every kind of, they put her in acts that are very adult, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
The things they said about her, and see, this is why I got so upset earlier when I was listening about what you said. Women haven't reported because we're never believed. We're put on trial. We're treated like crap. No matter what we say, nobody trusts us, and we didn't do it.
Let me ask you this, Andy.
Hold on. When we try to report, we're told, I don't see any injuries on you. It's just internal. You're going to ruin his whole life.
Yeah. Let me ask that to you, because folks are talking about the patriarchy and things like that. There are more women in this country. Currently, more women are graduating from colleges and higher learning institutions. We got a lot of women in politics. You got a lot of women behind a bench in various courts. Why are women not doing more to roll some of this stuff back? Like, for instance, you and I often talk about women losing rights with the abortion, Roe v. Wade being rolled back. If it's that bad to women, there should be almost no women voting Republican, yet they are by the millions.
See a red wave in the midterm? Which, by the way, should have happened, historically speaking. Should have been the Republicans, just took the midterms, right? That's how it normally works.
Yeah.
But it didn't, did it?
Yeah, but it's not by the margin that if the Republican Party is treating women as bad as folks suggesting, like many folks believe the left.
Wait, hold on. First of all, a lot of women are in denial. They think they have rights. That's a problem with our education system in this country. They don't know that the 14th Amendment does not apply to them because they listen to a bunch of men.
But wait a minute, though, Andy, two things. First of all, more women are graduating from college than men. And when you say our education system, most of our teachers are female. Why are they not doing better for themselves?
But like in the South, our education system is what? See, look at Takesha. She knows this country has a problem. We have kids right now that can't even read on a third grade level. Trump, between Reagan and Bush, No Child Left Behind, we have dumbed down America considerably.
Yeah, but I gotta see you pushing back. We're not in the 1910s, 1920s. Women rule in education. There are more women teachers than any other. The men are not teaching.
The curriculum allows them to teach. They can't go around teaching. Look at Florida. You think those teachers can teach anything they want?
Yeah.
No.
We
can't say, "Oh, I'm smart. I know that's the right answer, but I can't teach it to you because the school won't let me." The South taught the lost cause history. Let's be honest. The South will rise again, you know.
So then I have to ask the obvious question: why are there so many female voters that support DeSantis if he's doing this?
I have no idea, and I will tell these women right now. You think that abortion is just getting rid of a pregnancy. It's not. It is the health care that happens when a woman has a miscarriage. And 15 to 20% of pregnancies in this country are miscarriages. Women, hear me when I tell you that I have gone to these men, gone to these conservative lives, and tried to explain this to them. And they told me 15 to 20% of women in this country passing away was an acceptable loss.
Well, and I don't disagree with you that when it comes to abortion, men should not be involved in the conversation like they are. I agree with that. However, I still continue to push back towards a lot of women at this point. In 2024, you can't blame all of this shit on men anymore. You guys are voting.
I heard what you said to the victim earlier. Yeah, that kind of rhetoric that's run around this country since its inception. What if we said that about people that were not the same color? Then it would be a problem.
Give me an example of somebody. Hold on. Give me an example of something I stated that you find problematic. I'm willing to tackle it. What did I say?
Questioning whether she was being honest and why she waited so long. She waited so long because they would not hear these cases in the court, and women were told to shut up. Women could be meritably GRAVE'd until recently in this country.
So are you suggesting that if a woman says that she's been sexually assaulted, you shouldn't even question whether she's telling the truth or not?
Well, I'm thinking since y'all told us we've been lying so often, y'all should maybe start thinking she might be telling the truth, occasionally at least.
No, but I'm asking that question legitimately. If a woman's...
Well, no, I'm to this point. Do you know what kind of rhetoric and abuse women take for reporting? Why would we take that abuse if we were lying?
I don't disagree with you, but this is what I told the last caller, and I'm going to say it to you as well. If women were so passionate like what you are and like what she was towards me and us men for questioning it, if you focus that same passion on women caught lying about sexual assaults...
Oh, I have. And let me tell you, we tell them they're the problem. Don't think that we let them off either. We tell them that you hurt all of us. So quit, but you only...
But I don't see it. But Andy...
Tim, you're only focusing on the women that lie. You're not focusing on the women that are told, oh, you're hurting his career. Oh, you know, he's a sports player. Let him go on so he can have a future. You just be quiet. You're not talking about that.
Andy, that's the norm. What I'm saying is, just like with domestic violence, if a woman comes forward and says a man was beating her, most people take her word at face value. Once again, you could hold on. You could walk, if you and I got into an argument in the middle of Times Square somewhere and you smacked the hell out of me, most people would laugh about it. But then when the man starts beating the hell out of the woman, oh my God, we need to do something about domestic violence.
That's not true.
Are you kidding me?
That is an old trope, and things have changed.
Andy, no. Andy, I gotta disagree.
Look,
Andy,
you sit there and say that about men who've been abused, but
Andy, hold on. Let me just say this. If you believe that a woman committing domestic violence against a man is taken as seriously as the reverse, you and I just disagree on that. You can hit a man out in public, and most folks will not do anything about that.
I'll give you an example, Tim. Used to, the cops just came out to your house and said, oh, whatever, y'all quit fighting. Now, whoever got struck and whoever did the striking goes to jail.
You didn't hear what I said. You're talking about the cops who have a legal obligation. I'm saying if you and I got out into an argument in public and I hit you, women would be calling the police, guys would be jumping in trying to beat my ass or at the very least take me off of you. If the reverse was done, people would be like, I bet he deserved it. It's a difference, Andy.
I'll calm down some. Let me put it to you this way. You say that, but you just said to me, but the cops will believe because they're supposed to protect you. But the cops don't believe women.
They don't believe men. Andy,
they still get the better shake.
Andy, they don't believe men that are victims of domestic violence either.
They do because they got whoever did the slapping to jail. They do. That is the way it's going down because we have women who now on average committed such a small fraction of the crime in this country.
Andy.
Previously, and women have become much more criminal in nature.
Andy, here's why I disagree with you. You can turn on television.
I didn't know what you're disagreeing with, but okay.
Okay, fair enough. Let me tell you what I'm disagreeing with. You can turn on television, whether it's soap operas, whether it's sitcoms, and see women openly committing assault against men all the time. You lied about being out to 2 a.m. Smack. It happens all over, even on television. Domestic violence against men is acceptable. You don't see men doing that to women. It's women doing it to men. It's all over television. If you go to a bar or a club and you ask a woman to dance or something, come on, baby, and she throw a drink in your face, I said no. Totally acceptable. If it happens in reverse, it's not
acceptable. It's not acceptable no matter who's doing the injuring. It is not acceptable in this country to hurt other people because you got a bad attitude.
So let me make sure I get clarity. You're saying our society views domestic violence against men the same way it does against women?
I'm saying that men don't because men don't believe either. That's your problem.
So let me ask you about, let's go with the women.
The majority of men out there that are so machismo, they won't believe it.
So let's go with women. Do you believe
women? Look in the comments. Andy's getting a beat down tonight. My husband wouldn't touch me because I married a man who's respectful.
Okay.
See, that's the problem.
Andy, hold on. Let me continue.
You are perpetrating it.
So I'm just trying to get clarity. Sometimes having a difference of opinion don't mean I'm a misogynist. You and I agree on a lot of stuff. It's just
the difference between women being assaulted and not being believed in this country. And y'all keep saying they don't report. The reason we don't report is this crap right here.
But is it safe to say the reason women don't report sexual assault is because they don't want to believe, which could also, do you believe that same theory could apply to men that don't report domestic violence because nobody will give them the time of day either?
Well, maybe they should be out here with as much passion as I am fighting for it. But I don't.
So do you see...
Hear it from women.
So if you mentioned men in the patriarchy for men, but let me ask you about women. Do you believe women view male victims of domestic violence the same way they view female victims of domestic violence?
Most of the ones I do because, they're educated and they've seen it.
Okay. Go ahead.
I understand that you have a problem with this imagery because that's the way you believe.
Yeah.
But I know plenty of people that believe that any kind of abuse, regardless, is unacceptable.
Yeah. Well, I hear what you're saying.
Don't get a fair shake because y'all say, well, she should have reported. That woman spoke up against Donald Trump. The reason Trump went through all of this is the way he slandered her in the public and ruined her name and her ability to make money. Now, Donald Trump got slandered that way and he was a private citizen. He would have sued everybody and their brother. He is actually noted as being the most litigious man in U.S. history.
Well, you know I'm not going to defend Trump, but the domestic violence argument you and I disagree on for the simple fact Jay-Z is a perfect example. The rapper Jay-Z, Beyonce's sister caught on video beating the hell out of him in the elevator.
And that's wrong.
But how many women stood up and said she needs to be arrested or demanded her music career end? She's on video committing a very violent act of domestic violence. Where are the women?
I can't speak for all women.
Speak for some of them. Give me some of
If
them.
he called the cops and they didn't arrest him, then I would have a problem. But women call the cops all the time and are told that they don't. Look, Tim, do you know how many years of kids are sitting on police shelves? 10 years of untested kids because they don't want to try men. Let's just be realistic about that.
I get your point that men often deny or don't take sexual assaults the same way. But when I present the same thing to you with domestic violence, I'm hitting a wall. And what I'm telling you is when it comes to men being victims of domestic violence, women don't take that the same way.
I'm only giving you my experience with it. I can't speak on things I don't know. So I'm telling you what I have seen and what I know.
Then if you're only
Jail
going
right now for beating on her husband.
Then if you're only going by what you personally have seen or what you personally know, then why would you fault me for my opinion on sexual assault? I've never been violated. Then I don't know that either.
Okay.
I'm just asking.
My thought is the first thing y'all always say is, why does the woman lie? My thought on that is you know why men push back on that with that? It's not because they think the guy's innocent at all. It's because they're afraid that if they say he did it and somebody believes them, then somebody could say they did it and they would be accused. That's the reason.
No, and I agree with you that automatically asking when a woman is sexually assaulted, why do the woman lie, is subjective and even wrong to some degree. But here's where you don't see the same. When a man is hit by a woman, folks often ask, well, what did he do to deserve it? It's the same mentality. But women don't see it because they're not the victims of it. Men see what they're the victims of. Women see what they're the victims of. So what I'm telling you, go ahead.
Women just lost our right road. You know what men could do to us in the 1950s? They could put us in insane asylums, sign a paper, and leave.
But we're not in the 1950s. Look, I could have been a slave in the
I don't think that's go back
1850s.
to the same laws. So how long will it be till that happens again?
Hopefully never,
How
considering.
would you feel if they repealed the Civil Rights Act?
I would be very disgusted about that. But let me say this before you finish. There's a small minority of African Americans, so that's possible. You and I admit there's more women than men. Women shouldn't be losing their rights now. There are more of you than, if there were 60% black people in this country, there would be no chance of that happening. There are more women than men.
We have not had a presidential election since that has been overturned either. And all the elections that have happened since then, Democrats have won. So they are pushing back. You're just not recognizing it was it is. Every last one of these elections the Republicans have lost, it's been on women's issues.
Yeah, but Andy, I agree with you since Roe v. Wade got rolled back, but let's be clear. The Republicans never made it a secret that they've been trying to do this for the last 50 years. Women have been voting for them knowing that was the goal, was to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, but if we're 100% honest, we never thought they would do that, and even their Supreme Court justices they put up there in Congress said it was settled law.
Okay, but you do realize one of the people that...
So until this election, you won't know what women feel or not, because it'll be the first major referendum on what has happened to us. So you're assuming that all these women are going to come out and vote for Trump, but in the exit polls for Nikki Haley, half of her voters after leaving Iowa said they would vote for Biden.
Let me ask you this. Now, you're down in Alabama, a deep red state. Do all of your women tend to vote Democrat? You're in a state where they're winning. The Republicans are winning all the time. Are the women down there voting for women's rights?
Alabama voted for Joe Biden, so you tell me.
Say that again.
44% of Alabama voted for Joe Biden.
All right. So that means most of the women in your state voted for Trump.
No, if 44% voted for Joe Biden, you can guarantee the 50-something% that voted were males. And on top of that, the majority of people that voted were probably Republican because Alabama charged a poll tax. We had to get our mail-in ballots notarized in the middle of the pandemic, and we had to pay to have them notarized. And Alabama had more people pass away than were born, so people weren't in a hurry to go out because the hospital had meat trucks behind it from where they didn't have enough room in the mortuaries anymore. So 50% of the state didn't vote, and then the half that did, half of them almost voted for Joe Biden.
All right. Well, we'll be talking in November. I do got to move it on. All right. I do got to move it on, Andy, but we'll be talking in November. I'll be curious to see where the women's vote in your state goes. But I appreciate you coming through. Look, we don't always agree. We usually do, but today was not that day. You're always welcome back, though, Andy. Good talk. All right. Looking in the comments. So what did that say? So people of color couldn't pay. Derek, I don't know why you would say so people of color couldn't pay and put smiley faces after it. I don't think anybody should pay to vote. But I do realize our country has a history of charging a poll tax so that people had to pay to vote, and then passing a law that says, but if your grandfather had voting rights, you don't have to pay. Because all of the black folks' grandfathers were slaves. They never had voting rights. That's how it was done. You don't have to pay a poll tax if your grandfather was actually a registered voter. Just a quick, easy way to get around passing a poll tax in limiting or if not preventing blacks from voting. That's a real history in this country. Donald Trump is better than Joe Biden, but they both suck, and neither one of them are good for the people. Democrat and Republicans are playing cat and mouse with the people. Yikes. Middle-aged women who are concerned when reproductive rights are not swing votes. They will vote in the camp they have their beliefs in. They will not go back and forth. I don't quite get that. And Andrew says she's a misandrist. Yikes. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Understand, folks, the program is and always will be MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests, but you're going to hear opinions from both sides. As I always say, we go left of Bernie Sanders all the way, we're having dinner with QAnon. So I'm going to give you my spiel. If you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without any concern of the host blocking, banning, or censoring you in any type of way, all about free speech here. If that's what you enjoy, follow the program. We're here Monday through Friday. Everyone gets to speak. You don't agree with the host, nobody gives a damn. Same on YouTube. Appreciate you folks tuned in. Certainly feel free to drop a subscription, smash that like button. It helps out the algorithm. Going back to the box, I'm a glutton for punishment, and I know punishment is about to be bestowed upon me. So here goes. Takesha, good afternoon. Welcome.
I didn't come up with funny.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I've been aggravated with you ever since you keep spewing off what that MAGA ass special counselor said about Joe Biden. That's his fucking opinion. You can say your penis is big and I can say it ain't. That's your opinion versus my opinion.
But wait a minute.
Stop spewing that foolishness that man who has no experience in what he's talking about. Of course he's gonna say all that stuff. He's MAGA. Let it go.
Okay,
then I can also tell Tim that you have not read that bill. Tell me you read it.
You're talking about the
border bill.
Yeah, I have read that. You have read that. What about
Did
it?
you read with understanding?
I assume I did. What did I miss?
But anyway, I don't have time for that right now because I got to get my grandbaby. What I wanted to ask you was, what time do you come on every day? Because there's a lady named Shay that is a historian. And on Zeus's Live this morning, she broke down how the national anthem came about that was written not for free people, but for free white men. And then the president, Hoover, I think she said, made it the national anthem, but it was after Lift Every Voice and Sing was made in 1900. So what I want to do is let her come on to your show with, you know, the people that you deal with, and let her explain the difference between the two, so they can stop calling it, number one, the national, and they can stop calling it the black.
Well, it is, and I'm fine talking to that individual, because that's something I said that I used to actually sing that in school growing up in Chicago as a young lad. We never, wow, Andy, thank you. We never called that the Black National Anthem. That's something I didn't. Go ahead.
And it was written for all Americans, not just for the black or the white. And if they would listen to the words and the way she broke it down and explained it to them, I promise you, they're gonna look like idiots to keep calling it, saying it's only one national anthem, when the national anthem was not written for the people of America. It was only written for free men.
Well, they didn't consider us human beings, Takesha. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm letting you know. The Lift Every Voice and Sing has nothing to do with black people. It has to do with every race. And I want her to come on here and break it down for you like she did on Zeus this morning.
But in regards to suggesting, and appreciate that Panther hand, thank you. In regards to the Lift Every Voice and Sing being written for every race, have you ever really seen any other race singing that?
Doesn't matter.
I'm just telling you.
What does it matter if they sing it or not? It was still made for all races. That's why I want Shay to come on here so she can school your audience and you.
Okay. Well, I would tell you a large portion I would love to have the educational lesson, but a large portion of the audience is not going to accept the song no matter what you tell them.
They don't have to accept it. And that's why it's going to be ignorance on their part, because they're going to keep spewing the foolishness and going to be looking real retarded.
Did I lose you?
No, you know I almost said that word. I gotta go.
All right, fair enough.
I'll ask Shay to come up tomorrow.
Okay, let her come through. The song has 3 verses. I know the song. Like I said, I used to play it on piano. I actually can write you the actual lyrics. So I'd have to think about those lyrics and see. It isn't a black anthem. I get it.
She'll tell you who it was written for, when it was written, and she'll tell you all that. So there's no sense.
Real quick. Is the artist black?
How do I know?
I'm just asking, because you said it was written in 1900. There's nothing a black man could have written in 1900 that the white man would say that's an anthem for me.
That's why I said, let Shay, the historian, come up, give you your education, and then you can question her.
All right. Appreciate it. Let her come through, okay. Takesha. It's a pleasure talking to you. All right. You too. And looking in the comments, and that's what I was going to say is, look, if a black man wrote a song in 1900 during a time when the white man didn't even think we were worthy of most American jobs, you're not going to get the white man to accept that. So we can say it means this or it's for everybody. They don't want nothing. They didn't even want you swimming next to them. You know, didn't want you drinking out of the same water fountain. You think they're going to sing your song? So I get the point, but I never heard of that song. Lift Every Voice and Sing Till Earth and Heaven Rings. What is it? Harmony, and I can't think. I'd have to think about the song, but I used to play it on piano and everything. So I've never heard of it being referred to as the Black National Anthem. That was first. Looking in the comments, I doubt she's married. Oh my God. Why do you doubt that my last caller is married? That's harsh. You guys are mean. She should do some research, trust, but verify. Okay. She definitely likes women. My 3 kids, you are horrendous in your comments. I doubt she's American. Why the hell would you doubt that? Why? I mean, I got to push back. If Trump is suggesting that he'd break up NATO and give countries to Putin, do you doubt Trump is American? That song was written for Abraham Lincoln. Lift Every Voice and Sing was written for Abraham Lincoln by who? Because it could have been written by someone that Abraham Lincoln would have never accepted it from. For Abraham Lincoln, huh? Really? James Weldon Johnson wrote that song, and he is black, says Team Cawthon. Thank you for the educational lesson. I did not know that, but that does illustrate my point. America's not going to adopt an anthem written by a black man in 1900. I don't care how good that anthem is. If a white man can't take credit for it, it's going nowhere. If what you're saying is true, and I see folks are saying the same thing. Tell me, what has Ukraine done for us besides laundering the Democrats' money? The Ukraine would give us literally an across the street address from Russia. Same with Soviet Union back in the 60s trying to put missiles in Cuba. Cuba hadn't done anything for Russia. It's simply giving you an advantageous piece of land. That's what they've done. America has bases in Africa. You think Africa's done a lot for America? No. It's not about what you're doing. It's about what you're allowing us to have access to. That way, if something breaks out with Russia, we're right there. We can respond to it and put a hurt on them right away. Russia doesn't have any bases that close to America, even without the Ukraine. America has bases in Poland and places like that. We're so close to Russia, we can use artillery shells and reach inside of their sovereign country. They can't do that to us. So that is what the Ukraine would offer us, is territory that is across the street from our enemy, so that if they act up, we're quick to respond. You think if the Canadians or the Mexicans were allowing Russia to build bases, we wouldn't have a serious problem with it? There is a lot of benefit to having the Ukrainians as an ally. Not to mention, because Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union, there's a lot of good Russian intel in the Ukraine, because a lot of them pretty much had access to Russia. There's a lot of value tactically to working with the Ukraine. No different than there would be value tactically for one of our enemies to work with Mexico or work with Canada, because they have a lot of inside knowledge of the United States. They know how our school systems work. You can get American television if you're in Toronto or if you're in Tijuana. That's value. If you're in the Ukraine, you can get access to radio signals and all kinds of shit coming out of Russia. There's a lot of benefit to it. Looking in the comments, question, why don't you talk about Biden daily? It's not as entertaining. He's not as entertaining. When he does something of value, it does come up on the show. We talked about on Friday, the whole broadcast was Biden enjoying possibly a two-tier justice system. It's on YouTube. You can look it up. All my live streams are there. Asking, was Trump right? The whole program was titled, Trump was right. And we were hammering Biden for the results that came out of the investigation that he was housing classified documents under his TV, in his basement, in his garage. Whole program on that. So we do talk about Biden. But Biden doesn't. Fact is, Biden doesn't deliberately try to be provocative and controversial like Trump does. Trump not only gets talked about, for folks who think we got Trump derangement syndrome, Trump wants to be talked about. Taylor Swift has 1 billion fans. Trump tweets out, or whatever the hell it is, X or truths out that Taylor Swift is disloyal, calls her boyfriend Travis Kelce a liberal. He's insulting very popular NFL players right after they won the Super Bowl. Biden ain't gonna do some shit like that. That's why Trump gets talked about, is he does and says things that are intentionally provocative. He wants to be talked about. However, if you are MAGA, my beloved MAGA, you'd prefer only speaking of Trump in a positive sense. I get it, but Trump likes to be talked about. That's why he gets talked about. Nevertheless, it is a lunch break live. I appreciate the 120,000 likes. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m., civilized dialogue, both sides of the aisle. Follow the program if that's what you like. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Real quick on YouTube, do appreciate you folks tuning in. The audience is growing. Smash that like button. Subscribe if this is what you like. I gotta go.